strikes and disrupting shipping, particularly energy supplies to the Strait of Hormuz. It seems the IC was entirely correct in its assessment about Iranian retaliation in the Strait. Did the IC's assessment about Iranian capabilities in the Strait of Hormuz change in the past year?
No, Congressman.
Does Iran still have capability of weapon shipping in the Strait of Hormuz with missiles, mines, and small boats?
Their capabilities have been largely degraded, but yes, they still have means to threaten passage to the Strait of Hormuz.
And how long can they keep the strait closed?
Based on current events, I'd have to get an updated assessment from the intelligence community on that.
Did you have an analysis of the impact of a war on global supply chains and the price of oil and gas?
I believe that assessment may have come from the Department of Treasury or Energy.
It didn't come through your office.
It came from their element within Department of Energy or Energy.
Do you know if the president was briefed on those assessments?
I believe so, but I can't confirm.
So if he was briefed on those assessments that was a problem, and the Straits of Hormuz could be shut off, and that was causing a great problem in the world's economy with the oil prices going up to $120 or something a barrel, and an effect on all countries' economies, why would the president not have taken actions to strengthen defense around the Strait of Hormuz?
All I can say is that the president ultimately is responsible for making the decisions based on the totality of information and intelligence that he has available to him.
The intelligence that he has available to him, that's a scary thought. Does the IC know where Iran's enriched uranium is?
The IC has high confidence that we know where it is.
And can you tell us that in classified?
We can speak more about this topic in the classified setting.
Okay. Could it be, we have methods of destroying it?
This is a conversation for a closed setting, sir.
Do you have any idea what the purpose of the Marines being sent, the units that are being sent over there? Is the idea that we will put troops with boots on the ground in Iran?
ODNI and the IC is not involved in the operational planning and movements of the Department of War assets.
Thank you. I'll be very honest with you. You read us original comments. It was kind of scary because of all the craziness that goes on in the world.
Oh yeah, it was scary.
Classified setting.
Mr. Perry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's good to see some old colleagues. I'm going to start, and thank you for your service, gentlemen and ma'am. I'm going to start with General Hartman, General Adams. Do you know how many days it's been since Russia went into Ukraine? I'll answer it for you. It's 1,480. Do you know how much money the United States government has spent, the taxpayers have spent in the war in Ukraine?
I have an idea.
I'm going to round it for you. It's about $200 billion. I mean, maybe it's a lot more, maybe it's a little less. It's hard to tell around this place. To the best of your knowledge, was Russia an imminent threat to the United States when they went into Ukraine? To the best of your knowledge. Sir?
Congressman, I wasn't in this position
I understand.
when that decision was made.
Say to the best of your knowledge, I know it goes back 1,480 days, but
So certainly I don't think it was in the best interest of the United States for.
was Russia an imminent threat is what I'm asking.
Not my decision to make or advice to provide.
Okay. How about you, General Adams?
Like General Hartman, I was in a different position many 4 years ago. In to make that assessment.
Yeah.
Are you? I guess can I ask you to clarify? Are you saying
Was Russia going to attack the United States 1,480 days ago?
not to my knowledge?
Yeah. All right. You recall who the president was at that time? Gentlemen? I'll help you out. It was President Biden. Do you know who the Speaker of the House was at that time? The name Ms. Pelosi ring a bell? Do you recall this Congress declaring war on Russia and Ukraine? 1,480 days ago, or any time between then and now. I don't either. Do you know, gentlemen, how many American service members have been killed or maimed attributed to Iran, the IRGC, their proxies, etc., roughly? Any idea? Could we say probably 1,000 killed, if not 10,000, over 10,000 killed and maimed? Probably a reasonable assessment.
Oh yeah, I heard and read
How
where
many
they're
uniformed
lying
service
big
members have been
time about
killed
how
by
many
Russia?
American soldiers have been killed so
Last
far.
1,880 days,
Over 100.
American uniformed service personnel? I'm just asking, I don't know of any, but do you know of any? It seems to me that there's almost like a political narrative being constructed here, and I just want to, point out this, it seems like a bit of an irony. I'm going to go to the director of the FBI.
A lot of
Good to
irony.
see you, Mr. Patel. Crossfire hurricane, Round River, plasmic echo, Arctic frost seem to have emanated from the counterintelligence division of the FBI. Is that a reasonably correct assessment, generally speaking?
Generally speaking, Congressman, I want to be careful here
Yeah.
because there are a number of ongoing investigations.
I understand.
You're goddamn right, there's a number of investigations going on. You want to tie everything up, you dumb bastard, on my tax
Possible
dime.
that politicized
Piece of
investigation
shit.
and filing system violated Sixth Amendment rights to the discovery and Congress's Article 1 oversight authorities if possible.
Without giving you a definitive answer that is rests with the DOJ, let me.
Of course you can't give a definitive answer, fucking
Limited
prick.
case files are basically files that prior directors had created to essentially hide what was going on. They
Right.
do not exist in our central systems. They do not exist anywhere. And if you search for that specific case, it won't even come up. Which is why I, as the first FBI director to do so, have terminated prohibited case files. And as you know, I'm wed to constitutional oversight
Right.
in Congress. And I've delivered 50,000 pages, which is 400% more increase than my two predecessors combined.
Director, would ensnaring individuals
So you can show some
or
proof then.
organizations based solely on their political affiliations or viewpoints be a potential violation of the Fourth Amendment?
I believe so.
Have any of the personnel associated with these activities, and I understand that investigations may be ongoing, have they been removed from duty pending the outcome investigation?
Yes, many have.
Okay, moving on. I'm concerned about a lab that was found in a clandestine Chinese biolab that was found in California, and then one that was found later in
What?
Las Vegas.
Yeah, Nevada. And I'm wondering, are you concerned about a lack of vision or imagination in agents that solely work on a case and can't see that China has the capability and the impetus to do these things all around the country and things like those things? And have you done anything about changing that training or
no.
that operational conduct of agents?
I can only speak to what I've done, and this FBI is keenly aware of it. We're the ones that figured it out, not just in Las Vegas,
Oh,
but also
bullshit.
in Michigan, where we arrested multiple individuals who were pretending to be researchers at the University of Michigan while bringing in lethal pathogens and trying to steal our trade secrets and our agricultural secrets.
That's why I'm still trying to get on top of the mounds of proof you've shown America.
Especially related to biolabs and
The fuck outta here.
Appreciate the response. I yield the balance.
Mr. Fallon. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would be remiss if I didn't mention Operation Absolute Resolve and the arrest and capture of Nicolas Maduro and his wife. It was incredibly complex. It was bold. It was unprecedented. It was a wild success. It really harkens thoughts of Radon and Sebi 50 years ago, except this actually remarkably exceeded that in its success. It was historic, and it altered undeniably the geopolitical landscape in the United States' favor. So our military and our IC should be lauded, and I want to offer a hearty and deserved congratulations to all of you that are testifying before us today. Thank you. Director Ratcliffe, I want to just visit with you a little bit. First, I do want to take a point.
Well, they deserve a fucking raise for fucking showing up and doing their goddamn job.
Very
Fuck
proud.
outta here.
How long has Iran been pursuing a nuclear weapon, Director?
Congressman, let me respond. I appreciate the remarks and also want to congratulate the people of the 4th District of Texas for getting a lot better representation than they ever did from the guy that was previously in that seat. Notwithstanding, as I talked about, a fatwa that was issued, I believe, in 2004. Iran has had a dedicated nuclear program beyond civil limits for the development of nuclear weapons. They currently possess at least 440 kilograms of highly enriched uranium at 60% weapons grade that would be capable of putting together 10 nuclear weapons.
Director, what nation state has achieved 60% enrichment and then not produced a nuclear weapon?
I'm not aware of any.
There's none. You get to 60%, there's a reason you're at 60%, because you are pursuing nuclear ambitions. So we have, sanctions have been imposed in the past, and yet that pursuit continued. Their economy was teetering, the pursuit continued. Their people were suffering, the pursuit continued. Under the Bush, Obama, Trump 45, Biden now, Trump 47, that pursuit continued. Then last June, Operation Midnight Hammer. Nuclear program was dealt a significant setback. But not only that, the autocratic, illegitimate regime in Tehran witnessed firsthand that the American resolve under this administration should be taken very seriously. I want to read you a few quotes. Iran will never be permitted to build a nuclear weapon. Barack Obama 15. The message to Iran should be loud and clear. We will never allow you to acquire a nuclear weapon. Never. Hillary Clinton. Iran will never get a nuclear weapon on my watch. Iran can never develop or acquire a nuclear weapon. Joe Biden. Make no mistake, as president, I will never hesitate to take whatever action is necessary to defend American forces and interests from Iran. Kamala Harris. So last June we have Midnight Hammer. And not only did they see
Midnight Hammer, boy.
They saw that we were committed to actually taking action and not just the words this time. And even after all of that, did they abandon their pursuit and their nuclear program?
They absolutely did not, Congressman. I think you point out the success of Operation Midnight Hammer is that one of the things that we assess in the intelligence community broadly is that since that operation, Iran has been unable to enrich a single kilogram of uranium to 60% since that operation. Correctly point out, Congressman, notwithstanding that, our intelligence is also clear that they have not lost their ambition, and that the activities to rebuild or reconstitute their nuclear facilities and centrifuges is something that the intelligence, there's a body of intelligence that I think confirms that.
Then we had 8 months of negotiations and attempted diplomacy. They proved fruitless, and yet the pursuit continued. And the director, is there any intelligence or evidence that the supreme leader and his thug mullahs, after all that, at the beginning of this year, were going to finally stop their pursuit of their nuclear weapon in their program?
No.
So we have some folks here that are splitting hairs about imminent threat. You know what? Was it a grave threat, Director, in your opinion?
Nuclear weapons are a grave threat in the hands of religious ideologues.
60% enrichment. No nation state that achieved that hadn't produced a nuclear weapon. We can either talk about it, kick the can down the road, and let them get a nuclear weapon and get danger close to it on the precipice, or we can take action now, and this is what this administration chose to do. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.
Oh, get the fuck out of
Thank you, Mr.
here.
Chairman. Every day, the brave men and women of our intelligence community, armed forces, and federal law enforcement work to protect our homeland from a constant and evolving array of threats. But since Democrats chose to shut down the Department of Homeland Security, those threats have grown more acute. Our country has already experienced
well,
14
now we
attacks
kind of
since
need
the
our
start.
allies that I all told them to fuck off. Now we kind of need them.
Real time. At a moment when the
Dumb
global
fucking
threat environment is
bastards.
intensifying, terrorist organizations are resurging, and adversaries continue to encourage violence against Americans. Congress should be reinforcing our defenses. Instead, Democrats have sidelined the very department responsible for keeping the homeland safe. Not a single
So you can
Democrat
provide
here
proof.
on this committee voted to reopen the Department of Homeland Security. That was not an accident. It was a political decision made at the expense of the safety and security of the American people. As threats to our homelands rise and our enemies grow more emboldened, this decision has weakened our defenses and replaced action with dysfunction. Each day, the threat environment worsens, and with it, the risk to the American people, which is indefensible. Do each of you agree that the reckless Democratic shutdown of the Department of Homeland Security has affected your agency's ability to detect, deter, and respond to threats against the homeland? Specifically, has it impacted intelligence sharing, operational coordination, or your capacity to prevent attacks? General Harper.
Congressman, it hasn't had a significant impact on the foreign intelligence mission of the National Security Agency.
Director Patel.
The shutdown has had a significant impact on how we protect and defend the homeland.
Director Goward.
This has directly affected the intelligence elements within the Department.
So
of
all you
Homeland Security.
assholes can provide proof it was the Democrats' fault.
I would agree with the Director of National Intelligence.
General Adams.
No significant impact on the Defense Intelligence Agency and the foreign threat that we analyze.
So Director Goward, you in your opening statement talked about the threats to the homeland and the changes that you've made as it relates to the border and the changes that the president has made. After 4 years of open border policies under President Biden, during which cartels and gangs expanded their operations into American cities, what specific actions has ODNI taken to disrupt these criminal cartels and networks and stop the
Love how you
fentanyl
assholes
transmitted
can
murder
just
in the US
spew out bullshit and not provide
Good
any
question,
fucking
Congressman.
proof
We've taken several
whatsoever.
actions to be able to get after this
I
threat.
shit gold. I
The
just said that so it's fucking
made
true.
a priority. Number one being
Get the fuck
making
out of
historic
here.
shifts in intelligence collection towards addressing this threat. I believe it is the biggest shift in intelligence capabilities that we've ever
You're
seen.
the biggest
or
shift
certainly
of
in a long
shit this
time.
fucking country's ever seen, bitch.
Integration and cooperation between our National Counterterrorism Center,
You're fucking terrorism,
with the
bitch.
DEA and other Department of Homeland Security elements is also unprecedented.
Domestic terrorism,
We
right
have taken and
there.
coordinated the collection of individuals known as suspected terrorists, known as suspected cartel members, leaders, and inputted that into the ties.
Be right back.
Agency
Fuck
partners
else.
to get after the financial networks that these cartels and gangs rely upon to be able to continue to fund. As Director Patel has spoken about, we have national counterterrorism elements that sit within the joint terrorism task forces and support the interagency efforts to continue to get after this threat very effectively.
Thank you.
So you can
Director
provide
Patel, Mr. Cohen
proof
was
on all
asking
that
about the
bullshit.
recent firing of counter-espionage agents
outta
with
here.
Iranian expertise. You and the FBI are taking, will continue to take all required steps to keep the American people safe during President Trump's historic military action against an oppressive.
Oh, it's historic, all right.
Is that correct?
Absolutely, and there's 36,000 people employed at this FBI.
That's what
Domestic
terrorism looks like. Domestic terrorism, right there.
Ones that can do the mission. There's a 43% increase in counterintelligence and espionage arrests just related to Iran alone, which is a record year for the FBI.
Well, and you plussed up
So
nearly
you can show
1,000
proof.
agents in the field throughout the United States since this has occurred.
Yes, sir.
And there's a document that you posted on X, and I think that's what you have in front of you, about all of the wins and the changes that the FBI has made under your leadership and President Trump's leadership during 2025 and the little time
Yep,
that I have
that's
remaining. Could you just
professional.
highlight
Show
some
a
of that for
fucking
the
X
American people?
post.
Thank you. Under the Trump administration, this FBI has literally had a historic year. We have 112% increase in violent offenders arrested last year alone. A 20%
Okay, so I
decrease
can
in
say I
homicide,
shit gold right
20%
now,
decrease
and
in
I can say that's
homicide.
true.
We've disrupted 1,800 criminal gangs. That's a
You
200%
listing off a bunch of fucking numbers and shit is not proof.
178 million Americans. That's a 31% increase. We have gone after the most vulnerable.
I shit gold.
Society.
I said that 'cause since I said that, it's true. I shit gold. It's true.
Online. We have located, found, and identified 6,200 missing kids. That's a 30% increase.
Get the what?
Taken down 1,700
That would be
child
fucking
predators.
front page news, you fucking piece of shit. Get the fuck out of here with those.
300 human traffickers have been arrested. That's a 15% increase. And seven of the FBI's top 10 most.
Why not make it 8?
In the world.
Make
have
it
been apprehended
8.
in the last 13 months. To put that into perspective, there was 4 in the prior 4 years. So this FBI under President Trump is fully stocked to get after every single fight we have, and these are just some of the statistics. So I thank you for letting me highlight those.
Thank you. My time to expire.
All I heard was I shit gold, and that's true because I just said it. That's all I heard.
This marathon, two-day marathon. Appreciate you. I want to talk about.
That's
FISA.
all these assholes fucking do is spew out a bunch of fucking numbers and call it a day. Get the fuck out of here.
But I still want to go over the myths that the public believes and that many members of this Congress believe. Mr. Patel, I'll focus on you here. Myth number one has to do with 702 versus FISA Title I. Trump was targeted with FISA 702. Is that a myth?
That's a myth, it's not true.
Well, it's just real quick. How was President Trump targeted under crossfire?
Under FISA Title I, Title III authorities, information was presented to the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court, a search warrant to surveil individuals associated with the Trump campaign, which was later revealed through the House Intelligence Committee's work, that the information collected was not only unverified, but individuals lied in that application, individuals that were government officials.
I think it's worth pointing out that whether this process was FISA or a regular court, it was still lies told by the people trying to get the warrant. It had nothing to do with FISA, it was simply the people trying to get the warrant were lying. Okay, myth number two. A query means that we're spying on Americans, means we're reading their inboxes, we're getting inside their text messages, all of that. Is that true?
No, I'm going to borrow General Hartman's answer. A query of 702 is pursuant to lawfully collected information of non-U.S. citizens overseas.
Right, so if you query an American citizen, are you accessing their inbox?
No.
You're just seeing if they have spoken to somebody who was a foreign intelligence officer, let's say, and you would know they've spoken to them because they would show up as part of that conversation.
In foreign intelligence collection.
Foreign intelligence collection. So if...
Oh shit, is that in the way?
And if you wanted to get inside their inbox, you would have to get an actual warrant under current law, right? A U.S. person.
A warrant or a subpoena process, yes, sir.
Okay. So that's a really important distinction.
Congressman, if I could just, but you wouldn't use FA 702 to do that.
Correct.
To get in the, I just want to be clear about that.
Yes.
There is
You would use your regular court process.
no authority under 702 to collect intelligence intentionally against U.S. persons.
Right. Yeah, so when somebody, and let's say their name rhymes with, I don't know, Tucker Carlson, is claiming that the CIA is spying on him, I'm going to guess here, because I don't know, I'm going to guess that the most likely scenario is that in the process of him speaking with Iranian intelligence officials, it is incidentally collected. Nobody is spying on Tucker Carlson or his inbox, to my knowledge at least. Number three, another myth. A warrant requirement, should it be required by law, it's for a simple query, that should be easy to get, right? What's the problem? It's easy to get a warrant, we do it all the time. Would it be easy?
In my opinion, no.
And the reason it wouldn't be easy is because oftentimes these queries are part of a very typical analytical process, and they would not meet the judicial standards of probable cause. And I've seen many examples of this. I would love if you guys had some examples that are declassified. I've seen them in a classified session. So I guess my point is, and now that we've debunked these myths, is you put that warrant process on a simple query, you're taking away our analysts' ability to connect the dots from the outside actors, which we can collect on. They have no constitutional protections. But you're removing our ability to connect them with the inside actors, which is kind of where it matters. It's like giving up when you're right at the goal line. That makes zero sense to do, and that's exactly what this would do. I've already heard Director Radcliffe's answer on this, but 18 months reauthorization, is that, I don't know where that number came from, but would you rather have it longer?
As Director Radcliffe said, I'd like 5 or 10 years.
Okay, me too.
Oh, I bet you would.
I'm doing over that really quickly and well. I yield back, thank you.
Mr. Hill.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you,
I
panel, for
bet
being
you
with us this
would.
morning. And let me start with Director Gabbard. You've heard from Mr. Stubbe, you've heard from Admiral Jackson, you've heard from Ms. Kinney, all this aspect of who we've encountered at our borders, north and south, and during the Biden administration with the open border that has been overly discussed today at length. There's this known and suspected terrorists. And I want to congratulate the Trump administration for getting, I think, 1,300 people identified out of the country under your 13 months. So congratulations on that. But for 3 years, in both classified and unclassified sessions here, I've raised this issue that we don't have the data and we don't track it in a fused way, meaning Border Patrol, TSA, FBI and follow-up, DOJ and prosecutions. And we don't really have that at our fingertips for oversight purposes. And I asked you at last year's Worldwide Threats, would you commit to helping us achieve, as the ODNI, that fused data? You agreed, but it was only 3 days ago I got that commitment from you in writing. So let me ask you again, can you help drive that process across the bureaucracy to get that regularly provided to the intelligence committees?
Sir, thank you for the follow-up on that. We have continued to work to improve that consolidated use of systems that will better help us identify who is in our country, who are known or suspected terrorists, to include those who are members or leaders of cartels and gangs and drug traffickers. And we're continuing to pursue that, particularly with the Department of State and their screening and vetting practices, as well as the Department of Homeland Security's. I will say that there has been a drastic improvement in our own screening and vetting systems, and that coordination is occurring, but there are still some silos that need to be broken down.
Also, in follow-up to the discussion today, I heard my friend from California, Mr. Barra, assert that President Trump's action in Epic Fury was unconstitutional. Do you think it was unconstitutional, the decision taken by the president?
Absolutely.
That's a legal question, sir, that I believe has been asked and answered by the White House counsel.
AKA, I don't have to answer shit because nobody holds me accountable.
He does.
And he can do that for 60 days. And
I wipe Trump's ass,
and you consult
and then
with the
I lick
candidate
it.
in Congress before the president took military operations.
My understanding is the Secretary of State fulfilled that responsibility.
I think that's clear. I don't recall President Obama, for example, declaring a war for 7 months of operations in Libya. So I think there's a lot of hypocrisy here as we try to defend American interests.
He is so fucking. They are so lucky.
Talk to Director Patel about this.
They get to talk shit to their face.
This issue of Winter Shield and doing a better job of coordinating offensive and defensive cyber here in the Homeland. And I think that's another place, Director, where I think you should play an outsized role to coordinate, again, this issue of all operations. I'm very concerned that we don't have a fused, I'm going to use that word again, civil defense posture on cyber defense, because we're too compartmentalized. We're too siloed between who's with the military and not with the military, who's got classifications and who doesn't. Would you work with me on trying to design a way for our governors, our private sector, the FBI to work better on countering state actors in our private sector?
Yes, sir, I would look forward to working with you on that. And we'll just comment, this would have to be done in conjunction with the Department of Homeland Security and CISA, given their statutory responsibilities. The integration and coordination with the private sector remains one of the biggest imperatives, but also in some cases challenges for folks who choose not to work with the U.S. government.
I agree. I sit on the CISA subcommittee here, and I'm very concerned about it. And I think our whole committee's been concerned about the assessment we have on offensive cyber, so we look forward to that. Finally, Director Ratcliffe, thanks for you being here. It's good to see you. Thanks for our decade of friendship. I want to say that I've traveled significantly with the chairman to Latin America, and I want to say your stations throughout the Western Hemisphere are doing an outstanding job. Would you say that we're back on track countering great power rivals in the Western Hemisphere?
I would thank you for the compliments for the workforce that I'm privileged to lead, and I do think the President's policies in making the Western Hemisphere a priority are really clear. Obviously, the
because that's America first.
Woohoo! It's funny, Congressman. No one's talking about Venezuela because things are going so well in Venezuela. But it really shows the commitment that the president has to taking care of business for American interests in our own hemisphere. And it's not limited to Venezuela, it's throughout Central and South America. And I think that we'll continue to
America
see
first.
continued progress with respect to that.
Thank you, and I thank all of you for your service to your country, and I yield back.
Thank you, Mr. Hill. Before we dismiss, I'm going to ask all members of the audience, all members and staff to remain seated until the witnesses have cleared, giving them an opportunity to proceed to our closed setting, which we will reconvene at 11:30 to resume in HVC 304. With that said, please remain seated until the witnesses have cleared, and this proceeding is adjourned.
Ugh, my God. Fucking makes me sick. Fucking makes me sick.
Probably destroy the party for many years. There would be many that will never forget that.
If MAGA were an actual person, I think it looks something like this. It's actually quite amazing how swift the defiance comes to the day of hate vision that we celebrate. And it's a combination of a few factors, but essentially it's this. Trump never cared about his core support. Never.
I couldn't care less.
And now with the prospect of a protracted war in the Middle East and the role that Netanyahu plays in ginning up anti-Semitism and a wilting economy that serves only billionaires, we're seeing a perfect storm of dissent and the fracturing of a movement.
MAGA is dead. It is deader than dead, and Americans are furious.
Fucking got a lower voice than I do.
The president for almost 20 years. I consider him a dear friend, and I will tell you right now, I do not recognize our president.
What is he doing? Staking everything on the biggest war imaginable in the Middle East.
I've been a loyal supporter of the president for almost 20 years. It goes back to when I was 21 years old and I was
I bet.
at the Miss USA.
Oh, well, there you go. That makes a lot of
I
sense.
consider him a dear friend. I will tell you right now, I do not recognize our president. I do not believe 1948 Israel is a biblical prophecy fulfillment. Most Christian Zionists in this country, like Ted Cruz and Pete Hegseth and Marco Rubio and all these other Zionist thugs, supremacists, they want me as a Catholic to reject the Catholic Church's teaching of 2,000 years and reject the fact that we do not believe that that is a biblical prophecy fulfillment.
That woman is a former Trump administration appointee, and earlier this week, well, you heard her, the MAGA movement is dead, while accusing Daddy Koploff of following Israel's lead when it comes to foreign policy toward Iran. She went on to say, I think a foreign country has occupied our government, and we're seeing now that the President of the United States of America is being influenced by a foreign government. No, he's just a dick. And MAGA, let me tell you right now, MAGA is dead. It is deader than dead, and Americans are furious. We don't recognize President Trump anymore. All right, a couple things. This isn't a different Trump than the one you love. The Trump that said this,
Grab him by the pussy.
and whose father said this. That's the same Trump you have now.
Oh my.
But MAGA is fracturing.
That is exactly why I am ashamed to be a fucking white American right now. Actually, since 2015.
The NBC News poll came out this weekend, and I saw this wrong track number, and it just kind of jumped out to me because it was 66%. And one of the things I always like to look at is, Donald Trump historically has
That's
done
gotta be
better than
bullshit.
his polling suggestion, but this right track, wrong track numbers have generally tracked with what actually the country is feeling. You see 66% there, more than 3 in 5 Americans who say the country's on the wrong track. Ipsos, 61%. MU, Marquette University Law School, 64%.
There's gotta be
74% of Americans
that's
say
gotta
they're
be wrong.
dissatisfied with the state.
Thank you for
of
that
the
like. I
nation. You see
appreciate
on
it.
the
I really
screen
do.
right there. And all of these numbers that I could find were the highest percentage who said that the country was on the wrong track since Donald Trump Trump office.
Trump is a sociopath, and his dwindling support resembles his penis, or so I've heard.
Prove it online. Prove I didn't see your dick.
So to put it simply, MAGA is dying because Trump is flailing, trying to line his pockets while bearing the release of the remaining Epstein files. It's impossible to ignore, like a beer fart in 82 Gremlin. Now, Barbie Botox, you just saw Prejean.
Damn, I haven't heard beer fart since I thought I was the only one that said that. Holy shit, that's hilarious.
Last month. She got that gig from Trump last May, and now she's in perfect simpatico with Dairy Queen, who attacked Trump over the Epstein files.
On the people in power over the past several decades that protected the monster, Jeffrey Epstein, and his cabal that continued a nightmare.
Tell us about that last 200 grand you had to snatch up before you fucking left, bitch.
Hungary, Israel, and the Saudis. Remember
Fuck
Trump's
outta here.
comments on Bibi's bombing of Gaza, that he could turn it into a beautiful beach resort? Who says that kind of shit?
A year in, and we're in another fucking war. And
That you helped.
being killed.
Bitch, get the fuck out of here. I will never forget when she had that fucking big ass white meat coat, interrupted Joe Biden's speech. I will never forget
And
that.
who in the hell are these decisions being made for, and who is making these decisions?
America first. It's obvious now that America first is no more than a dog whistle to the white right, as well as a racist shot at both Latin and African immigration.
They're coming in from Africa, Somalia, places that are a disaster, right? Filthy, dirty, disgusting, ridden with crime. We had a meeting, and they said, why is it we
Mr.
only
fucking
take
accordion
people from
hands.
all countries, right? Why can't we have some people from Norway, Sweden?
Biggest domestic terrorist in American history right there.
Israel launched joint military strikes against Iran on February 28th. Conservatives are now saying military intervention abroad departs from what they view as MAGA's core principles. But MAGA has no principles other than Christian nationalism, guns, and racism.
What would solve the whole thing in the border if they would just start shooting? Only shoot a couple, and they would go home.
But the real MAGA exodus began with Dairy Queen, or as you know, or Marjorie Taylor Greene. There was no bigger believer
Toilet
in Trump's
Green.
horrible core than the Cracker Barrel Georgia Bulldog.
MAGA cannot be ignored. Indictable.
That is until the Epstein files revealed a deep and dark cabal of predators attacking junior high girls. And remember, Green already believes some crazy shit.
According to Q, I'm saying according to Q, again, I don't have any proof of this, but we're talking about who is Q,
Oh,
so
we
I'm
know.
going to tell you what he says.
We know.
According to him, many in our government are actively worshiping Satan.
And now she's Trump's most outspoken enemy.
And he called me a traitor for standing with these women and refusing to take my name off the discharge petition. Let me tell you what a traitor
No, you're a traitor because you support the biggest domestic terrorist in American history.
that
Bitch.
serves foreign countries.
But before Green, even before MAGA evolved into this pestilent pile of hate, there was Congressman Adam Walsh, an original birther, and Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger. But now the MAGA wall is crumbling, and Trump is incapable of stopping it.
Loss of trust with our NATO allies right now. We've got a lot of work to do to repair this loss of trust.
Is he wrong when he says that he can leave NATO without Congress?
And he's wrong. And maybe since you asked, if he broke up NATO on his own, it would be a civil war in the Republican caucus, the conference. Most of us would find that totally unacceptable. I'm not alone. There's a large group of us that believe in our alliances and standing up for freedom and pushing back on China and Russia. We don't want war with these guys. We got to be strong. And if he went in and somehow destroyed or tore up NATO, it would probably destroy the party for many years. There would be many that will never forget that.
The latest sign that Trump
I think it's already
which is all
destroyed.
bullshit based on Trump's lie that he won the 2020 election. It attacks mail-in ballots, by the way, which Trump has used in the last 4 presidential elections, and all electronic voting machines, which work fine unless you're Sidney Powell.
Minion operators went in.
Oh, I remember that bitch.
Changed the whole system.
That lie cost her $200 grand. All of this based on the bullshit that Trump won the 2020 election. But the Senate, even John Thune, the majority leader, knows it's a joke. But my favorite part is what Trump said. But my favorite thing that Trump has said is this. Listen.
The Senate is debating the Save America Act, the bill President Trump has urged Republicans in Congress to
What an
pass. The
idiot.
legislation will
That's
require
such
proof of
garbage.
citizenship to register to vote along with photo ID to cast a ballot. A
You've
reminder,
always needed a fucking ID to vote. What are you talking about?
It's legislation to end the partial.
God damn,
He
these
took a social media
motherfuckers
earlier today saying he will not
think they
endorse
just come
anyone who
across the
votes
border
against
and
it.
vote?
He
Get
will
the
not
fuck
endorse
out of
anyone who
here.
votes against it.
That's about as powerful as a Chuck Grassley hard-on. The MAGA is coming. Trump doesn't see it because people like Stephen Miller, Mike Flynn, and Steve Bannon are all lying to him. And each and every one of those fuckers will stab him in the back quicker than a Melania fuck you flare. Millions get seen. Trump is mentioned twice as many times in this sick county than Jesus was in the Bible. Google Trump penis bite. That's all you need. Look, MAGA won't die overnight, but it will die. But I want Trump to live long enough to hear impeach, try, convict. This.
Go fuck yourself.
Goddamn right. Right back into here and
Hey, Julie, I want to know what people are actually going to do.
But that's just your suggestion. You don't actually have any facts.
I haven't showed you.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
Bad Bunny, Bad Bunny.
You submit.
All Americans need a Bible in their home, and I have many.
Oh, we know.
I don't want to talk about this stuff.
We're in a lot of trouble, Tom.
I think he's crazy.
I'm too Franklin.
Oh, that guy is fucking great.
According to the U.S. Attorney, the disgraced U.S. Attorney in the District of Columbia, Janine Pirro, Jeb Boasberg, the chief judge of all things criminal grand juries, has now, quote unquote, bathed, I love the imagery, bathed the Federal Reserve Chairman, Jay Powell, in immunity, criminal immunity. Well, it would take one bather to know one, considering she works for a president who the Supreme Court unconstitutionally gave immunity to. What's she talking about? What has there ever in the history of America been a criminal construction cost overrun case? I'm sure there's been a couple. Does anybody think that Jay Powell, for his own personal gain, lined his own pockets as the head of the Federal Reserve chair by wanting cost overruns about 2 buildings that make up the Federal Reserve compound in Washington? These things were 100 years old. You had asbestos in these buildings. You had 100-year-old elevators and air conditioning and cooling systems, if they even had cooling systems. And sure, COVID had a major impact on building and construction supplies and costs, as did Donald Trump. So the fact that it went over 50% doesn't mean there's a crime that's been committed. And there's no evidence that there has been. We cover it all, including Jeff Boasberg finding that probably the first time in 100 years that the Department of Justice can't even do basic math, can't even do its basic job to get a subpoena properly issued by a grand jury because it was done in bad faith. Let's have a clip of Legal AF, the podcast on this topic.
Let's just turn to what's going on with Judge Boasberg. Everybody remember Judge Boasberg, and the intersection, as you like to say, of law and politics, but the intersection of law and politics here is Judge Boasberg and intersection of law and criminality, Donald Trump seeking retribution against the chair of the Federal Reserve. So Popak, what went down here as Donald Trump was impaneled this grand jury basically to gin up criminal charges against the chairman of the Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell, and this case was in front of Judge Boasberg. Tell us why, how Judge Boasberg got this case in Washington, D.C., and then what did Judge Boasberg rule?
Yeah, and the reason we're just talking about it now is you don't generally know about what's happening in grand juries because there's a level of secrecy that goes around them to protect the innocent, to protect people that have not yet been charged. You're not supposed to know, although the government often leaks that somebody's a target of an investigation. Here they purposely leaked that Jerome Powell, particularly, as the chairman of the Federal Reserve, was the target of a criminal investigation, presumably about him making a statement about the renovation of 2 buildings that are 100 years old that make up the Federal Reserve complex in Washington, D.C., in a response to a question by Senator Tim Scott, in which he honestly said, there are no opulent golden ballrooms or dining rooms or private elevators. We kind of re-engineered the project to save money, and this is the project. But the project to take 200-year-old buildings with asbestos and old elevators and old HVAC systems, you know, and something called COVID that impacted the global logistics related to building material, and something called Donald Trump's tariffs that did the exact same thing. There's no wonder it's a 50% or more cost overrun in developing. It doesn't make it criminal any more than Donald Trump's ballroom going up 50%. It makes him, well,
That
maybe in
ballroom's
this
on
case,
tax
in
time.
any event, Trump has been very public, as has everybody in his administration, that he wants Jerome Powell to cut interest rates to save the Trump failed economic policies. Because who doesn't want cheap money firing out of a fire hose when your own economy is on the skids? So, and that is the problem, even recognized by economists that work for Donald Trump. You never want the guy in power, the person in power, who already controls fiscal, economic policy, to also get his greedy little dirty hands on the monetary policy and turn on the spigot of US money and have cheap dollars prop up artificially the economy, which would lead to inflation going, you think it's high now, you think 3.3% year over year at the supermarket, I think it's higher than that, is bad now. Wait till you see what happens when he starts lowering interest rates, or is able to below 2%, and money starts flying out, cheap money starts flying out into the economy, and then he's out of office, right, midterm and beyond, and we're stuck with hyperinflation that the next presidency has to fix, much like Obama having to fix what happened with Bush.
Yes, sir.
Biden having to fix what happened with Trump. It's always
Yes,
a
sir.
Democrat cleaning up behind the
See, that's what I'm talking about.
literally having to fix
We have
the economy.
over a million lessons in history. There is no fucking
industry and the banking industry at the same time.
reason why this country should be where we are.
To restart the heart of the American
Holy
economy
shit.
with several $1 trillion of public money in order to save the economy. Okay, and Trump is the beneficiary of all of that, right? Now he's got no job creation. He's got zero. He's got a GDP that a
historic
manufacturing
level.
sector in America that's slowing to
The job market is so bad, it's at a historic level right now.
Closed. Manufacturing is the one that has lost the most jobs, even under his
Sir.
tariffs to bring home manufacturing. Right?
Yes, sir.
And so he wants cheap money. He keeps beating up Jerome Powell, who is one but a big vote on the Federal Open Markets Committee that sets interest rates on a monthly basis generally, based on, they have two goals at the Fed, independent Fed, right? Try to create as much jobs as they can in the economy while keeping inflation low. And those sometimes are difficult to do at the same time. And they calibrate with the only tool they really have, which is interest rates. They calibrate how to keep job creation, job growth going, while also making sure we don't have hyperinflation. Well, Trump doesn't like it. He doesn't like the 7 votes. And he's always wanted to have cheap money. So he's been bashing the guy that he appointed to the Federal Reserve back in the first term, Jay Powell, who, by the way, his chairmanship is up in May. He stays on the board, but his chairmanship is up in May. But he wanted to, so he said, well, how can I get rid of him? Well, why don't we try like what we're doing with Lisa Cook, who's on the Federal Reserve. We'll accuse her of a crime. Yeah, that's it. And we'll embarrass, he's a modest man. He'll be embarrassed. He'll resign, won't he? No. So they went and tried to figure out whether the cost overrun on the Fed was a crime or not, which is ridiculous. So when Jay Powell doesn't budge and interest rates aren't being cut by this 7 at the speed at which Donald Trump wants, and Donald Trump's bashing constantly of Jay Powell. He's an idiot, he's a dummy, he's a moron, he's costing American people billions of dollars. That's very that sounds like Donald Trump talking about himself, but over and over and over again. When that didn't work, he had Jeanine Pirro, his political ally and the U.S. attorney in D.C., open a criminal probe investigation against Jay Powell around the holidays, and apparently it went to
on
a
taxpayer
jury,
dime.
and they got a couple of subpoenas from the grand jury to get all of the construction records related to the Federal Reserve.
America has no idea
Now, as pointed out by Jeb Boasberg, the judge,
how
who was the
much
chief judge in
debt
DC,
this country is
responsible
in.
for all grand jury proceedings.
These motherfuckers just added a couple trillion.
It's very rare for a judge to be asked to quash subpoenas.
Only been a
based
little
on
over a
improper
year.
purpose.
Couple of trillion
Based
to our
upon
debt.
the Department of Justice being corrupt.
Country's headed
So
for a
even
huge
Jeb
collapse.
Boasberg said
This country
there
has
is an
no
Office of
fucking
Inspector
idea.
General that is responsible for reviewing whether there's
Dipshit
fraud
Donald
or
Duck
crime
don't give
related
one
to the
fuck.
construction project, and yet there's no evidence. So the Fed Reserve
He's worried
and
about
Jay
fucking
Powell,
ballrooms.
unbeknownst to us because it was sealed, brought a motion to quash the subpoenas issued by Jeanine Pirro's grand jury and to end this folly. And Jeb Boasberg, who is the chief judge and also no stranger to the Trump administration, they've already brought a judicial complaint against him that got rejected. He moved to find them in criminal contempt twice related to their taking human beings to El Salvador and the torture prisons there over court order without due process. But he's the chief judge, and so he had to make a ruling. He unsealed all the papers so the public would know, and he issued this memorandum opinion. And as you said, the first paragraph is not the judge commentary or ruling, it's just line after line of Donald Trump through social media posts bashing Jay Powell in order to change policy, to change.
Because that's what
interest
presidents
rates.
do, you know.
There it is right there. And we have it posted on Legal AF Substack as well. And he says, and when social media posts fail to cut rates, Donald Trump went to Plan B, which is what he's done, as the judge pointed out, to other political critics like James Comey, the FBI, former FBI director, Letitia James, Attorney General of New York, Adam Schiff, the senator from your home state of California, and now he turned Jeanine Pirro on to go after and sick the dogs on Jay Powell. And the judge says, what I gotta look at is whether this was for predominantly for an improper purpose to bring these subpoenas, to try to influence policy and get him to resign with lower interest rates. And I love that line. And Boasberg concludes that there is a mountain of evidence, his words, that indicate that this is about Donald Trump trying to get Jay Powell to resign, and that there is no credible evidence of any crime in the cost overruns related to the renovation of those two buildings. In fact, he says in the second to last page of his order, he said, I gave the government the opportunity to show just me in camera, it's called an in-camera or in-camera review. Show me the goods. You got more evidence that demonstrates that I'm not aware of, that demonstrates the criminality, the probable cause for criminality? Show it to me. And he says, and the Department of Justice in past cases has taken him up on that offer. He says in the hearing, they refused, and post-hearing, they never submitted anything to show that they had any evidence whatsoever to support a criminal case against Jay Powell. This should, subject to what we'll show a clip here from Jeanine Pirro's response, crazy response. But if this is the end of the subpoenas, this should be the end of the criminal case. Subject to an appeal, they'll argue that the judge is interfering with the executive branch's investigative function as the prosecutor. We'll see all appeal up to the DC Court of Appeals again. But this should, for now, give Donald Trump an exit strategy, because he can't get his Federal Reserve next pick, who he also wants to make the chairperson. He can't get it through the Senate confirmation process, because Tom Tillis, the outgoing North Carolina senator, has said he is not going to vote for the new Fed chair, or even the guy coming on to the board at all, until the cloud over the Federal Reserve and Jay Powell is lifted. Now, if Donald Trump's smart, he'll take this and he'll go, well, I wanted to, but a judge won't let me, and then get his guy confirmed and make him the Fed chair in May. But Donald Trump, we know he's not. What do you think he's going to do next time?
I don't think he has a plan. I don't think there's, I mean, the thing about all of this, and let's connect it back to the war, he has no plan for everything, for anything. And this has been his entire
Yeah, that's what I was
MO,
just
his
about to
entire
say.
life.
That motherfucker don't
And
have a plan
so
ever.
I think that Tillis is someone who, while I disagree with him a lot of the things, when he says he's going to do something, he's going to put the hold on, and he's not going to confirm Donald Trump's new pick. And then Donald Trump's what? He's going to start attacking Tillis. He'll probably launch a criminal investigation into Tillis, right? Like he'll make the worst possible decision. He'll turn a bad decision into a devastating decision, into a catastrophe, into a bankruptcy. This all follows the same exact pattern. I mean, look who he surrounds himself with. Do we have the? But let's just play the clip of Pure right now. I mean, this is his crew. Oh, fuck, here, let's play.
Oh, cut it out. Do you know how many convictions?
This
you
was
got?
great.
You're in one lane. We clean up this city. Yeah, historic, really? I'll tell
Oh,
you what's
yeah.
historic. What's historic is that I prosecute everything other than 10% of the cases, where the United States attorney before me didn't prosecute 67% of the cases. That's what's historic. I'm willing to take a not guilty. I'm willing to take a no true bill, because I'll take all the crimes and put them in. Thank you.
Psycho.
I mean, think about that. That's who's on his team right there. That's Hero. That's who he's surrounds himself with. And so, you know, the short of it is, Trump will continue to try to appeal it. He'll go to the Supreme Court. Then he'll whine that his pick, you know, as the federal chair is not going to be there. The economy's already continued to crash because of the disastrous war. We're not going to have a pick for the Federal Reserve. That's what's going to happen, Bopak. It seems pretty evident that's where it's going to go.
Welcome back. We sit at the intersection of law and politics, so you don't have to. We do it every Wednesday and Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on the Midas Touch Network. Go outside, investors. Hit our free subscribe button here on Legal AF YouTube channel. That's what's going to help keep us on the air. And then commercial-free versions of that podcast you can find over on Legal AF Substack for paid members. Until my next report, I'm Michael Popak, and I got some big news for our audience. Most of you know.
Man. Yeah, that bitch is fucking psycho, goddamn.
Lindsey Graham has spent years being one of the loudest voices in Washington, D.C. And now, for the first time in a long time, that voice might actually be working against him. The man who flip-flopped on Donald Trump, flip-flopped on decency, and apparently flip-flopped on representing his own constituents, is now watching his Senate seat slip right through his fingers. And the reason? He picked Israel over South Carolina. And his voters, they noticed. Let's get into it. Check out this article. Suck.
Your midweek political check-in, broadcasting live on the Really American Media platform. We're slogging through another political swamp, thick with nonsense and bad intentions. Yeah. Let's cut through the poo-poo and throw a little light on it.
Okay, that's not what I fucking thought.
We have a beautiful addition that's going to be added on very soon.
So a federal judge is now openly questioning the Trump administration's reasoning behind building that $400 million ballroom right next to the White House.
Brace yourselves, because Trump is about to throw the mother of all tantrums. A MAGA judge has quietly indicated that he's likely going to block Trump's planned $400 million changes to the White House. And it is going to come as a critical blow to a man whose entire identity revolves around crawling around the planet in his nappy, scribbling his name on stuff with a Sharpie. It's been a bold and momentous year of Donald Trump picking huge fat L's. Donald Trump and the L-Sifter's stone. Donald Trump and the Chamber of L's. Donald Trump and the prisoner of Hell's command. Or should that be the prisoner of his own stupidity in Iran? In any case, Trump's been on a red-hot losing streak recently, and this latest blow is another fruity feather in his L-shaped cap. If you want to hear about all the glorious, bigly losing Trump is doing on a daily basis, make sure you take a second out of your day to click the subscribe button and join the Raw America Bowel Movement. It genuinely helps. This shit. Like with that first tracker keeper, Donald Trump loves putting his name on shit. It's kind of like an inverse crow phenomenon when the crow is too lazy to go and steal the shiny shit for themselves, so they just wrote crow on it instead. Trump has written his name in shiny.
People used to pay that piece of shit to have his name on their fucking shit.
Oops. And it makes us sit in our
Now they
seats
can't get
attentively,
it off
literally
fast
thinking a lot
enough.
about it, as if
Fucking
the world is
hilarious.
just Donald Trump's mind/toilet, and we're all trapped in it, is to tear down parts of the White House.
Funny
and turn
thing
it into a
is,
Trumpian ballroom
Trump
nightmare,
has
truly filled with
always been a
tacky
piece of
fake
shit.
gold and endless teen beauty pageants. So far, it looked like he was going to get away with his meddling plan, but recently a MAGA judge indicated that he's starting to have serious doubts about allowing the project to go forward.
So a federal judge is now openly questioning the Trump administration's reasoning behind building that $400 million ballroom right next to the White House. This is coming from a U.S. district judge, it's Judge Richard Leon, who grilled the Justice Department, saying that the administration keeps on changing the legal justifications why this project is needed. With the judge,
Why would they do that? Because I'm sure, this being the Trump administration, the squeaky clean, swamp draining Trump administration, that they would have a really good, serious, proper legal justification that wouldn't mean.
Yeah, because that was campaign promise number one. Fucking ballroom.
This has been a case where there have been shifting theories from the beginning. You may recall that it was back in October that Trump just demolished the event completely to make room for a 90,000 square foot.
You imagine if Joe even planned about doing something like that to the White House, let alone fucking actually doing it? The fucking Republicans would be bombing the fucking White House themselves. Holy shit. The fucking hypocrisy.
Small. National Trust of the Historic Preservation had sued to stop construction, arguing that the White House just can't alter a building like that without A, congressional approval, B, independent reviews, and C, public input. DOJ argues that the project has dual authority and funding, meaning it's legally allowed to move forward, but the judge wasn't buying any of that. He said that this was a brazen interpretation of the law, and then said the White House is an iconic symbol of this nation, and that the president is just a steward of it. AKA, he can't.
What is this Republican judge smoking? He's accusing the Trump administration of brazenly interpreting the law how they want. I won't hear such a thing. And what's this about Trump just being a steward? No, Trump is my king. Trump is our daddy, remember? Trump isn't the steward of anything. He's the king. He is the king of America. He is the king of my heart. He is the king of the White House, okay? If he wants to turn it into a McDonald's playpen, which he almost certainly does, he should be allowed to. And the White House, that funny old institution, should be so lucky to be covered in gilding and ketchup stains and the brown smears of nappy explosions. Should be so lucky.
Just do all these things without doing, once again, public input, independent reviews, etc. Because at the end of the day, it's not his White House, it's the people's White House. Well, let me know what you think in the comment section below. What do you think?
Well, I'll let you know what I think. I think it's Trump's White House. And that guy, Joey Contino, is not wrong about the scale of the thing, by the way. If you haven't seen it, then it definitely appears that Trump might be compensating for something. Now, this judge, I believe, was appointed by George Bush, but I think it's fair to call him a MAGA judge because he's, according to this article, he's ruled for Trump for Trump twice now. But on Tuesday, he said this: there is no track record of this ever being done. And he described the White House as an iconic symbol and the president as a steward of the building, not its owner. And make no mistake, the ballroom is clearly still firmly on Trump's infirm mind, as he was ranting very sanely and coherently and intelligently about it only a day ago.
And we have a beautiful addition that's going to be added on very soon. You probably hear about it. In fact, see that beautiful curtain right there? That gold curtain. That's going to be.
Of course, it's got to be a gold curtain.
You put it down and it's a picture of me
a
naked.
deep foundation, very, very deep into the ground.
What is this man fucking talking about?
Next time you come back, maybe the next 2 times, okay? Maybe not.
He always has to look to his side to an aid. Always.
His brain is just trickling out his nose and going onto his lip, and they're like,
you're going to see one of the most beautiful ballrooms anywhere in the world.
Because ballrooms is fucking America first, baby.
They've always wanted a ballroom at the White House.
I mean, to be fair, if you take $400 million...
Who in the fuck has ever said we need a fucking ballroom at the goddamn White House?
They've always wanted...
You dumb motherfucker.
They've always wanted a ballroom at the White House. So all the presidents for 150 years, they say, or more, they never had. This is a beautiful room, but this is...
Yes, they've always wanted the ballroom, always wanted the ballroom. All the presidents couldn't stop talking about it. They all tried, and all failed. Only Trump did it. Or really, is that true, or is he talking out his fucking orange arsehole mouth again? Who knows?
This is a beautiful room, but this is very small for, when you think about state dinners and the things that we do. So they put out a tent on the lawn, and if it rained, it was a problem. It was a nasty problem. But
people pay money and take hours of their life out to go to rallies and listen to this man dribble out incoherently, just vomit out random bits of the dictionary with sort of a vague semblance of connection between them. And for hours, this has been a minute, and I am dying. I am regretting my life choice. I'm regretting my life choice. I'm actually drafting a resignation letter in my head. I'm gonna have a rage quit. I'm gonna crash out right here on video and say fuck you and just leave. People pay. I cannot.
it's a lot of work going on. I hear the pile drivers going. To me, I love the sound of those pile drivers. My wife doesn't love it too much in the morning. She said, will they ever stop? I said, yeah, another few months.
Yeah, no. You guys don't even fucking live together.
While driving his wife and her son. I don't want to think about that. Why have you talked about these things?
Because it's really something that's going on right over there.
You don't know what your immigrant wife's doing.
The White House after 150 years.
The list of lovely mom and pop business donors to Trump's forum includes Amazon, Apple, Google, Meta, Microsoft, Nvidia,
Yep.
Coinbase.
No way in hell.
And also Homeland. All companies with zero links to Trump or zero links to current fate with the US government.
Yep. Ain't no billionaire gonna give you a fucking penny
However, with the tide of public
unless they're gonna make a profit off it. Last time I checked, ballrooms don't make a profit.
The White House truly is an iconic building the world over. Letting the demented narcissist in charge add a couple of letters to the wall of the Glove Institute like the Kennedy Center is one, mildly outrageous and arguably treasonous thing, but letting them completely ruin the look and scale of the literal seat of power of the Western world is presumably much harder for even the sickest of sycophants to swallow. And with Trump's driven his cult personality slipping at, coincidentally, the same rate as insanity, perhaps he's going to be hearing the word no a lot more in the coming months. Brace yourselves for a hell of a fucking meltdown, that's all I'll say. We'll be here to report on it, so be sure to subscribe.
Thanks everybody for watching. I'll be back live here in an hour or two. Thanks for watching.
Nice to meet you.